Welcome back to the Out of the Rough podcast presented by We Know Fantasy. As always, my name is Nate with We Know Fantasy, and joining me, as always, my co-host Jake. Jake, how are we doing today?
We're doing pretty good, Nate. Memorial, Scotty Runaway, just got to tip your cap at this point. I've seen some steam on Twitter that he should be like plus 100 at Oakmont. If that's the case, I'm taking the field, even though Oakmont is great for Scotty. Honestly, good for him. He wins another tournament. I think that's two tournaments in a row that he's won by five, right? He won the PGA by five, he won Memorial by five
Probably three
or
because he
four,
won Charles Schwab by like 1,000.
right? Um,
He's
yeah,
won what, his
so.
last three starts?
Uh, what's it called? Didn't no, Ben Griffin won Schwab. No?
Oh, yeah, the one before the PGA is what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, Byron Nelson. He
Byron
won
Nelson.
by he won by eight. But yeah, three wins in his last four. Good for Scotty. I don't know. I've also seen some chatter about why was it so fun when Tiger was winning and why is it so miserable when Scotty is. Um, but
I
yeah,
think,
anyway, it's probably just because or personally, I bet every single week just like you, and
yes.
I want to win a 25 or more to one versus a 2 to 1. But anyway, DP World Tour, definitely some magic there. Shout out to Von Dale Hausen. I definitely butchered that name, but Nate, I said to you before we got on the pod here, Christopher Wright's in a 60 on Sunday to almost backdoor his second win in 3 weeks. So, or in 2 weeks, back to back.
Yep.
So good for him. But yeah, I'm ready to rock this week. I know we got the RBC Canadian, we got the KLM Open. Week before a major, we got some guys just battling to get in.
Yeah. The US Open today was, as we recorded this Monday, was the quote unquote longest day in golf, where the final qualifying for the U.S. Open, I know Ricky Fowler got in, Cam Young got in, a few names.
Ricky did not get in.
Ricky did not get in.
No, it was Cam Young who sunk him in the playoff. Um, there was a lot of stuff. Max Homa carrying his own bag because he fired his caddy, like crazy storylines. But that it was a five-man playoff that had Ricky, Cam Young, uh, I- blanking on the other like two big PGA Tour names.
Absolutely insane
Homa,
stuff.
yeah, just crazy, just a crazy day of golf.
But yeah, that's next week. Definitely looking forward to that. I mean, Oakmont, every report that we're seeing, it's going to probably be like well, it's Scotty Scheffler in the field, but if it plays the way all the reports are, like we're having like a two over par winner, like, 4 inch rough where I've seen them drop the ball in there and then you just can't find it. Like, I feel like we're gonna have like 8 to 9 hour rounds just because if you hit the rough, it's going to take a whole search party to find a ball, even if you know where it goes. So it's going to be absolutely insane. But we mentioned it. RPC Canadian Open the week before major annually falls here, kind of short end of the stick for, the third oldest golf event in the world. Uh, I think it's 119th playing somewhere around there. We'll get to that here soon. But yeah, I mean, we could get some big names. Rory McIlroy plays this annually as like the kind of the face of RPC and RPC Canadian Open, specifically two-time winner. I have some bigger names in there, but kind of a weaker field because U.S. Open's next week, and then a lot of people trying to qualify this week and everything. So it's a bit of a weaker field with Rory, Shane Lowry, a few names towards the top. But we'll get into that here shortly. But before we do hop into things, Jake, where can people find you on social media?
Yep, you can find me at DJ Freeman on Twitter. I've already posted my two outright cards for the KLM and PGA Tour for the RBC Canadian, so be sure to check those out. Also, be sure to join our Discord, completely free to join, no hidden paywalls once you're in there. Nate and I post some exclusive content. I post my matchup plays, which have been very profitable in the season. Nate also has hit a couple first round leaders early in the year, looking to knock a couple more of those down as the season progresses here. But again, just more free content at your fingertips, a community of, I don't, Nate, what are we up to? Like 200, 250? I don't even know.
It's 250 plus right now.
Yeah, we've got a lot of people in there between professionals and just people who love to gamble or love the game of golf. A really wide array of people in there. So good conversation held up in there. More stuff, NASCAR content. Soccer's been going off. Shout out to my Tottenham Hotspur on winning the Europa League. And just another, just more great channels. Anything you want to see in there, reach out to Nate or myself. We're happy to make it anything that you want it to be. But again, completely free to join.
When it comes to soccer, of course, I'm a U.S. men's national team over club. So no trophies there typically. I mean, gold cups here or there, but that's a dime and a dozen at this point. And then I'm a West Ham and a Borussia Dortmund supporter, so I don't see many trophies as of late. Borussia Dortmund had a run there a bit. I mean, almost won the Champions League a year ago. Either way, but yeah, guys, free tool. I mean, we have such exclusive stuff. Not only tipping things, I've tipped two first round leaders. I tipped a Live Golf win in there exclusively. Live Golf is back this week. My card's already posted there. Be sure to check all that out. A ton of great stuff in there. And of course, we have the community tracker where I go through and track everyone in there's bets for the PGA Tour, DP World Tour, Live, every tour that we cover in that Discord. So we can cheer each other across the finish line. And we just introduced a scoring system so we can see who is the best tipster in there. Just a little bit of banter along the way for our community of 250 plus people. You can follow myself, Nate, on Twitter at WKFNate. Be sure to follow We Know Fantasy on all forms of social media at We Know Fantasy. Be sure to visit WeKnowFantasy.com for some more fantasy sports content. Fantasy baseball, basketball, football, NASCAR, golf, everything in between. We have you covered on there. My weekly DP World Tour, PGA Tour, Out of the Rough Golf Betting article series. If you're looking for DFS content, PGA Tour article has that full breakdown each and every week where I really go in depth on both tours and LPGA majors. Had a good card at LPGA last week. I think four of my five were in the top 25, top 20. Had some chances going to moving day. La Kim, Charlie Hull kind of blew it away. Minji Lee was in there. So, yeah, we'll keep pressing on in all forms of golf, especially in across all aspects. We have, of course, Andrew All Tour Golf Bet with his Corn Ferry Tour and Hotel Planner Tour previews, full betting cards. Super knowledgeable, man. Again, I say this every podcast. I'm not sure where he finds information about these tours and these golf courses, but sometimes his in-depth breakdowns are more in-depth than my PGA Tour, where I have every bit of information at my fingertips. I don't know where he gets this, but kudos to him. Of course, we have Craig uh, doing the LPGA, LET stuff. A brief hiatus. He is taking his podcast on the road to attend some LET events and have exclusive interviews that way. So be sure to check him out as well. All right, Jake, let's hop into things here. The RBC Canadian Open, I mentioned it. It is the third oldest golf event in the world, 121st playing this week. Originated in 1904. It is one of those very few golf events on the PGA Tour schedule that alternates golf courses each and every year. This year we have the first time playing of TPC Toronto at Osprey Valley. We are just 2 years removed. I know I talk about this all the time, but it was in my doing this, covering golf, watching golf exclusively, or I guess in depth, I guess the word I'm looking for, since 2018, 2019. This event 2 years ago was my favorite moment, not just because I had the Nick Taylor 75 to 1 ticket, but just the pure emotion, the excitement when he sunk that 72-foot putt to top Tommy Fleetwood in a playoff to become the first Canadian in 69 years to claim the national title. Pat Fletcher, 1954, was the last time to do it. You know, what does that mean to Canadians? The eye in the logo of this event is the club toss of Nick Taylor's, victory after he sunk that putt. Like just everything that ensued after that. Of course, Adam Hadwin rushing the green, getting tackled in the process. I want to witness or relive a moment like that again. I mean, we saw Rory McIlroy with the career Grand Slam, like that was close to me at least, but this one stands out as probably my favorite moment in the last 5, 6, 7 years of covering and looking at or watching golf in depth. That stands out to me, and I want something like this to happen again. I strive for something like that.
Yeah, non-major moment, I would say that
Oh
that was
wow,
just so awesome.
oh wow.
Honestly, for me, I just watching Hadwin get decked was just the funniest thing. Like, how do you not know that's a professional golfer going to celebrate with his fellow countrymen? It was the running joke since I've been, tracking and following golf that a Canadian can't win the Canadian Open. Nick Taylor got it done, and yeah, I'm hoping for some fireworks for another Canadian that we'll get into in a bit.
Yeah, hopefully not, because I don't have any on my card, but I'm. It's one of those events where if a K did win it, I would gladly give up my buy-ins this week to watch it happen again.
Yeah.
All right, field this week. We mentioned it. It's the U.S. Open next week. Serves as a natural bye week for most. We have the qualifying, a lot of bigger names in that. So this week we have, and of course, Rory McIlroy headlining the field. He won in 2019 and 2022, back-to-back events, no events in 2020 and 2021. Joined by Ludwig Oberg, world number 10, who is desperately seeking some form. Had a great final round at the Memorial. I think he shot like a 64 there at the Memorial to. I think he finished like top 15, top 12, somewhere around there. Robert McIntyre comes in defending champion. Of course, last season, another storyline. He had his father on the bag for that event as a fill-in caddy and went on to claim his maiden PGA Tour victory. So that's a cool story there. Of course, Nick Taylor back to seek a second victory and hoping to not have to go another 69 years before a Canadian wins this event. He'll be joined by the likes of Corey Connors, Taylor Pendrith, Mackenzie Hughes, Adam Hadwin, Ben Silverman, among others looking to keep the run going for Canadians in their National Open. Other notable golfers, Shane Lowry, Justin Rose, Sanjay Im, Wyndham Clark, Thomas Dietrich, Sam Burns, Sahith Theegala, Byung Hun Yan, and Tom Kim. Just basically a stretch of people looking for form heading to the U.S. Open. I know Shane Lowry's not really looking for form, Justin Rose maybe not, but the rest of the names I mentioned, they're kind of just scrambling, trying to find something here in this final event before the U.S. Open. I'm not even sure if all those names are even qualified, if I'm being honest, but either way. Other formers won this event. Teaming it up this week include Brent Snedeker, of course. We move around, so take course history and event history and all of that as you will. Course this week, of course, brand new event or brand new course in the PGA Tour, TPC Toronto at Osprey Valley, the 38th golf club to host this event and just the 8th since 1977. Recently renovated, the North Course now placed the tune at 7,445 yards as a par 70. The 2023 renovation saw extensive work under the guidance of renowned architect Ian Andrew with consultation of the PGA Tour. Of course, it is a TPC venue, so PGA Tour owned. The premise of the renovation was for the course to host a National Open. Andrew removed several trees from the course to open the view and connectivity between the holes. As aforementioned, the course was significantly lengthened as well. The fairways in this renovation were tightened in the areas where professionals would land their drives. The bunkers have been described as both challenging and deep at this golf course, and in this renovation, many were removed, and those that remained were shifted to bring them into play for the professionals. The North Course is a parkland-style course that was built around wide corridors. It really shows its teeth with hard-to-get-to greens in terms of placement. Finding the correct landing spots off the tee to take the proper angle in will be crucial. Additionally, with the greenside chipping areas added and hard-to-get-to greens around the green play, in my opinion, will be of the utmost importance this week and maybe what will set a eventful winner apart from the rest of the field. The 585-yard par 5 18th hole will be sure to add dramatics down the stretch, playing its hand in crowning a winner this week. In that 2023 renovation, a new tee deck was put into place, signature tree was placed, and a short grass runoff area in front of the green was added to that 18th green. So leaving the ball short or failing to hold the green will result in a runoff down the front. And again, a true risk reward hole to finish off here. Jake, anything to add here before we move forward?
No, I think you covered it all.
Here we go. All right, I know you mentioned you had five guys, Jake. I have six, I believe, and one's kind of straightforward that we'll get into later with my made up argument on why you should bet him, but we'll get to that in a minute. So I'll open things up here with Shane Lowry. Last time I was on him, the Truist Open did not go in my favor. Eddie had a lead on the final round at one point. Of course, it worked in your favor with Sepp Straka going on to win that event, as Shane Lowry failed to convert on several birdie opportunities to keep pace and or pass Sepp Straka down the stretch. But Shane Lowry, I mean, currently third on tour on approach. He's 21st in scrambling from the sand, 22nd around the green, 26th in scrambling, 39th par fours, 48th proximate hole for 175, 96th in strokes and putting bent grass. Placed 23rd at Memorial, missed the cut at the PGA. Prior to that, second the Truist, 12th at Zurich, 18th at the RBC Heritage, 42nd at the Masters, 8th at Valspar, 20th at the Players, 7th at the API, and 11th at the Cognizant Classic. He's played this event each of the last 5 years, 33rd of season to go, 43rd in 2023, 10th in 2022, second in 2019, and 12th in 2018. He just seems like a guy. We talked about this in the Discord a little bit. Like guys have a feel for for national opens. Robert McIntyre, of course, one of them last year won this, then went over to Scotland in his home to win that event. There's different I want to say skill sets, but a mentality to attack these type of events. And Shane Lowry definitely has that. He's shown that with some good history of this event. He's in good form. And of course, one of the elite iron players of the tour. We'll see if that putter cooperates with him this week. Top 100 on the tour and strokes gained putting bent grass and do like that. Along the way, just 22 in this field. You know, we got Rory McIlroy headlining things and pushing some numbers down for the rest of them. Maybe if Rory wasn't there, take him out of the picture, you're talking 16, 17, 18 for Shane. So I'm fine with the 22 to lead my betting card.
Yeah, I was really close to getting on Shane this week. 22 is a little short for me, but I totally see the argument. He's been nuclear on approach. His off the tee, he's very accurate, and he's not all that short. I believe he's like just below tour average. So, like you mentioned, it'll all come down to the putter for Shane Lowry. If this guy starts draining putts, holy crap, the PGA Tour is going to watch out because everything else is there for him in cooperating.
Yeah, he would have had several victories if it were to be
Oh yeah.
for the putter. Like he would have won probably multiple events this season.
Yeah. AT&T Pebble Beach, he finished runner up. Truist, he probably would have won. He finished runner up, at least two.
There we go. All right, let's
Yeah,
open.
I'm kicking my card off with the guy that you've mentioned a couple of times already, Robert McIntyre. I got him at 30 to 1. Um, a new course, one thing I definitely like to add to my card is a guy who's just all around solid. And I think that Robert McIntyre really fits the bill. Obviously, he won this tournament last year. It's no secret that, he's a good golf player in general, but he's playing some really good golf in the last couple weeks that has led me to believe that he is going to repeat here. He's gained with the putter in three straight. He's gained with the irons in five straight. Not overly flashy off the tee, but gains rather consistently. There's no like distance advantage or accuracy advantage. He is, more accurate than tour average, and same with his distance. But that being said, I just think that Robert McIntyre is just going to run it back. I think 30 to 1 was more than a fair number. He finished T6 at the Chuck Schwab. He finished T20 last week at the Memorial, which is a very solid finish. He played also very consistently last week. There wasn't any blow up rounds or any super low rounds. So that's kind of what I like to see coming into a week where, everything's a little bit of a toss up, right? We haven't seen this course, so there's a lot of speculation on what's important and what's not. And when McIntyre is kind of clicking on all cylinders and isn't, one area of his game that's hurting him at all, I think that this is a good opportunity to run him back.
Yeah, what I love about Robert McIntyre when it comes to these events, he is very, very good at putting on bent grass. He's fourth on tour in
Yeah.
strokes gained putting on bent grass. Anytime I see a bent grass, Robert McIntyre is the first name that clicks in my mind. Just didn't go with him mainly because the defending champion. I know I shouldn't think about that, but it is hard to repeat at golf
Yeah.
events. That's why it doesn't happen too often. But if they're, I'll be kicking myself if he wins this because he was on my short list, just took him off because of that, essentially. But man, any event that has bent grass, I'm all on board when it comes to Robert McIntyre. All right, let's roll into my next play, and this is probably my favorite play this week is Thorborn Lawson. 45 to 1, 46 in his last outing, the Charles Schwab. Prior to that, 33rd at the PGA Championship, 7th at the Myrtle Beach, 29th at Byron Nelson, 5th at the Valero Texas Open. He placed 27th here a season ago in this event. He's 21st on tour from 175 plus in proximity. He's 24th on approach, 39th in strokes gained putting bent grass, 47th in scrambling, 52nd hole driving, 55th in around the green, 56th in par four. So he's got really, really good irons. He's a very good putter on bent grass, good form all across the board. 45 to 1, I mean, when you think of Thorborn Olsen, you're not like 45 to 1, give me that. You're thinking, 75, 80, but an event like this where you have your top three, four, five guys and there's a significant drop off, I think there's great value there. Absolutely love the play. Popped in my model. I think he's right behind, this is not weighted in any sense, just straight stats. He is second to Rory McIlroy this week. So do love the play at 45 to 1.
Yeah, I have him at 55 to 1. I think that he does have some great finishes, right? But I also think that his underlying stats on the year just like aren't reflected in his results outside of the T5 and T7 at Valero and Myrtle Beach. Irons are clicking, the putter's there for him. He's been very solid off the tee. I think that this is a really good chance, and he fits the bill, in my opinion, similar to McIntyre, that
Hmm.
there's no weakness in his game. And when you're kind of going in with question marks, it's good to be good in everything, right? Like, that sounds like a, thank you, Captain Obvious, but on a course like this, I think that I'm there with you. I think Olsen has a really good chance this week.
And if reports are suggesting that these bunkers are in play, his one weakness is playing out of the sand. He's not that good of a sand player. But again, all speculation, renovation. We haven't seen the tour professionals here before. Who knows if these bunkers actually are going to be in play and if they are quote unquote challenging and deep. So we'll see how it goes with Thorborn.
Yeah.
All
Do you want
right,
me to run
Jake.
my third?
Yeah, no, yeah, sure. Go for it.
Okay. So, Nate, this will be a listener exclusive. I have double dipped on this guy. I went with Taylor Pendrith. I have him at 35 to 1. And then I saw a book hanging him without Rory, Connors, Lowry, and Aberg at 25. So I took that number also. Taking Rory out of the equation, getting Pendrith at 25 to 1, I couldn't, and I was not cashing out my 35. I think that's a great number too. I think that he's going to be the second Canadian in the last 70 years to take this tournament down. He's going to be very popular. He has the driving distance I'm looking for. The iron play has been absolutely nuclear. The putter is a little bit to be desired for, but he's gained in four of his last eight. Yeah, it's stretching the sample size a little bit, but recent form also has been awesome at T5 of the PGA Championship, at T12 last week at Memorial. I've also seen reports that he plays this course a crap ton, which scares me. Between hearing all of that, him being heavily steamed on Twitter, and me double dipping, I'm sure is going to end in a missed cut. But I'm going to hold out hope for Pendrith here. I think that this course profiles well. He has a lot of experience out there on this course, so he knows where to be and whatnot. Versus, you have guys that haven't been on this course, and you know, do you really think that like Rory McIlroy is going to step foot on this course for practice rounds and stuff like that? Some of these guys are out there for U.S. Open qualifying. I just think that there's a leg up and an advantage for Pendrith here and an added motive, at your country's open at a course that you've played a billion times.
Yeah, definitely a leg up there when we saw it with Matt Fitzpatrick at Brookline, right? He played the U.S. Amateur there and won that, and then goes on to win the U.S. Open and his maiden PGA Tour victory. Like there's definitely a leg up when people have these course histories that no one else does. Very well could be his week. And when you think of Canadian golf right now, right, you have Corey Connors who kind of leads the charge. He's kind of like the guy right now when it comes to Canadian golf. But right behind him is Taylor Pendrith, right? I mean, Nick Taylor's always one that he's going to compete. He's going to be at
Yeah.
these events and he's going to give it his all each and every week. And I mean, he wins the Sony Open and the Phoenix Open a year ago. Like he has more victories than all these other guys on the PGA Tour. But right now, when it comes to all round games and pure talent, Corey Connors and Taylor Pendrith are one and two, maybe one A, one B.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the reason why I took the 25 to 1 also is just because I think that's where his number's going to land, right? I think
Yeah,
he's at 28 now. I think he's going to land at 25, and I'm getting the top four guys out of the equation here.
there we go. All right, I'm gonna roll into a guy who I haven't maybe never bet before in my life, and that's Eric Cole, 75 to 1. I even talked about in my article here. I don't think I've ever played him in DFS or on an outright, but man, he's kind of sneaky, having a great season. 44th in the Memorial, 28th at Chuck Schwab, 41st at the PGA, 34th at the Truist, 5th at the Byron Nelson, 18th at the RBC Heritage, 26th at the Valero, 15th Texas or Houston, excuse me, and 12th at the Valspar. I mean, he missed the cut here a season ago, but 6th in 2023 at a Canadian Open. 31st on practicing the hole for 175, 48th in scrambling. He's 52nd in strokes gained putting bent grass, 56th in scrambling, 60th around the green, 62nd on approach. I mean, the stats add up here. And, outside of that insane rookie season that we saw from Eric Cole, where he competed on a few events, or rookie of the year as a 30-year-old rookie. I think it was him and Chris Kirk who went to a playoff with the Honda. Um, yeah, it just kind of surprising. I've seen Eric Cole pop up here and there, and he's kind of a better, popular guy on betting cards across Twitter, right? And then, yeah, popped to my model this week, and I took a look into it, and some good history here in Canada with the top five 2 years ago. So, yeah, big number for a guy that I could realistically see win this event.
Yeah, I don't blame you. His PGA Tour sample size is way smaller than a lot of these other guys, right? And you're getting a guy who has great underlying stats, some great finishes, and I think the win is, on the precipice for Eric Cole here. To me, in my head, he's going to fit into that Tommy Fleetwood role of just peppering great tournaments and just the win eluding him. But I'd be happy to see him win, and he's one of those guys that I'm going to let beat me, which is always famous last words.
Yeah, yeah, we talked about that before the podcast here. So,
Yep.
all right, Jake, you should have what, two guys left?
Yep, I've got two.
All right, what's your next one?
My next guy here, I hit on him earlier in the season. I think this is another good spot for him. It's Carl Phillips. I got him at 175 to 1. Great driving distance off the tee. The form has been coming back around since that win. He won, then missed three straight cuts, so that's a little concerning. But T4 at the Zurich in the team event, a T11 at the Chuck Schwab, where he had a great, I believe it was a Friday round. But anyway, the putter, he's gained in two of the last four. Around the green, he's gained in three of his last four. Very solid approach player, consistent driving distance off the tee. The accuracy scares me a little bit. But again, at 175 to 1, I'm getting a PGA Tour winner. And I think that this is a good chance for him to kind of really stamp his mark on the PGA Tour and say that he's here for good.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you can say about Carl Phillips, and PJ Tour winner's one of them, right? You talked about that already. Most of these guys in this field have never won on the PGA Tour before. He's been there, done that. Although an alt field event, they're still, like you said, he's looking for his maiden stamp. Has that victory, but it's kind of like a fall series,
Yeah,
for some of these
Puerto
guys,
Rico.
and then they get their I don't want to say real PGA Tour victory, but 175 to 1's a big number for a guy who, is just getting started.
Yeah, and I'm trying to be the Carl Phillips whisperer. He has 2 wins in his career. I was on both of them. So one on the Corn
Okay,
Ferry Tour, one on the PGA.
there we go. Mark your territory there. All right, I'm going to skip one guy because I'm going to end my discussion on him. So I'm going to move on to my fifth guy, excuse me. That's Taylor Moore at 90 to 1. Let me scroll down here. Currently ninth on tour around the green. He's 30th in total driving, 49th in strokes gained putting bent grass, 52nd in scrambling in the sand, 68th in scrambling, 94th par fours, 108th on approach, and 131 from proximity from 175. Made the cut in three straight events coming this week, highlighted by a 19th at the PGA Championship. Anytime you're a top 20 in a major at a 90 to 1 number in a field like this, like that, 25th at Myrtle earlier this season. He had a run of 7 events between the American Express and the Players Championship where he made the cut in each, highlighted by a seventh at the American Express, ninth at the WF Phoenix Open, 22nd at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Taylor Moore, the approach numbers may not be where you want them to be, but he's a strong putter, very good around the green, and he's good. He has plus distance and he's accurate off the tee. So again, we're talking these longer odds. It's hard to find really polished guys, but Taylor Moore is a guy who a lot of people have been on many times this season. Kind of pops up here or there, but yeah, I think he could get it done this week.
Yeah, another guy with good underlying stats, except the difference here is that he's a PGA Tour winner, won last year at the Valspar. So that's another added bonus to him.
There we go. All right, finish off your card here, Jake.
Yep, I've been on this guy a couple times this season, and I think, again, famous last words, I think this is a great spot for him. I think Antoine Rosner, I got him at 250 to 1. I've peppered this. His irons have been so freaking good. He has the driving distance. He's been driving the ball beautifully the last couple weeks. He had a T13 at the CJ Cup Byron Nelson. He hasn't played in a while. Last time he teed it up was at Myrtle Beach where he placed T34. But it looks like he's made close to 10 cuts in a row just on quick glance here. Um, hasn't played the Canadian Open before, but this kind of suits his wheelhouse. It'll come down to the putter for him. The driver's great. The approach play is great. The short game leaves a lot to be desired for, but he's also a guy that can pour in birdies in a hurry if you
Yes.
need him to. So I think 250 to 1, not a lot of money to win a lot.
Yeah, same analysis has always been with Anton Rosner is, he's a new name to the PGA Tour, a recent promotee from the DP World Tour, but he's been around for a while. He's played a lot of golf. He's won events in Europe, so he knows how to get it done. Like DP World Tour is, it's hard to win there as well. It's not a super easy tour to make your way through. It's grinding. You're moving from country to country each week, around the world essentially, for the better part of the first half of the season. So yes, Anton Rosner, love to play. Irons are nuclear.
Yep.
All right, final two guys here. One guy, Andrew Putnam, 150 to 1. We talked about driving distance. He does not have that. But what he does have, he is eighth on tour in scrambling and scrambling from the sand. He's 11th in strokes gained putting bent grass, 14th in par fours, 15th around the green, 34th on approach. And then he's 162nd in total driving because the distance is it might even be like negative somehow. But yeah, either way, a guy that always pops because he's very good everywhere except off the tee. Again, in the we're talking 7,400 par or par 70. Like this is going to take some distance. But also, from my understanding of this golf course, is pin placement and green placement and taking the correct angle into these greens is going to be crucial. Again, not the best long iron player, but a very strong approach player. So I'm hoping that he keeps himself out of trouble, finds the correct placement in these fairways, and can attack these greens and gets things to stick and hold. And then he's a very good bent grass and just an overall putter as well. He's kind of a guy I've, always these long odds. I'm always on Andrew Putnam for the last 3, 4 seasons, hoping it comes around for me one time. But yes, Andrew Putnam 150 to 1.
Yeah. For what he lacks in distance, he gains in accuracy. So take that as you will.
All right, so the guy I skipped at this point, you probably know who it is. It's Tom Kim, 80 to 1. Again, just Tom Kim 80 to 1. I'm going to take that every day of the week. And in the background, if I don't play Tom Kim on my betting card, I always have my money on him in the event that he does win and I'm not on him, I would never recover. So yes, Tom Kim 80 to 1. So, he's shown some signs of improvement recently. The start of the season's been awful. but he has made three straight cuts at the Myrtle Beach PGA Championship and Charles Schwab. He placed 44th at the Charles Schwab. He's 45th on tour in strokes gained putting bent grass, so he's a better, the always the concern is Tom Kim is his putting, but bent grass is where he does his best work. He is 57th on approach, so irons aren't horrible. I know he's losing strokes, but there we go. 73rd at hole driving, 77th around the green. I won't keep going about the stats. What I'm going to pitch here is, historically speaking, Tom Kim is a slow starter to the PGA Tour season. I'm not sure if it's spring golf, it's Bermuda golf, it's West Coast golf, POA, whatever it is. He doesn't start seasons extremely well. What he does do is when it comes to summer golf, and maybe this is because this is when we start seeing more bent grass events, he starts picking things up. So in 2023, he started, making waves at this event where he finished fourth. Then he'd go T26, the U.S. Open, lost. Oh, this is last year, excuse me. Would go on to lose in the playoff of the Travelers Championship and place 15th at the Genesis. 2023, he placed T8th of the U.S. Open, T6th at Genesis Scottish Open, T2nd at the Open, T24th at the FedEx St. Jude, T10th at the BMW Championship, and T20th at the Tour Championship. So my argument here is Tom Kim always starts slow. He's typically in the springtime not competing for golf tournaments. Where he really starts getting it done is when it comes to, I know all of his wins are in the fall, but summer golf. Again, I don't know if this is just, I'll have to look more into this as the Tom Kim guy, if it's the bent grass exclusive, what's going on here. But it's going to start clicking. The guy's 22 years old, and I think he came to the PGA Tour on just pure talent to begin with, right? He came in the youngest winner since Tiger Woods on the PGA Tour, the youngest winner, two-time winner since Tiger Woods. I think the youngest three-time winner maybe ever. I don't know what the stats is, but all it is, it's like since Tiger Woods. Loaded talent. He's still 22 years old, a three-time winner on the PGA Tour. He's in a slump right now, but he's been in a slump before. Each season, he's been in a slump coming to this point of the season. This is basically the point where he turns things around. The event before the U.S. Open or the U.S. Open turns it around, then he's competing for the rest of the season. Hoping that's the case here. Tom Kim, we need to get this done. I don't know. It might just be, again, going back to the just coming on into the tour on pure talent standpoint, and now things are catching up to him because obviously we've seen him in the what's it called? The Netflix series Top Spin. What am I talking about? Full Swing,
Full swing.
Top Spin. Jeez, Full Swing. He's just a kid. He's not the best with his diet. I don't know if he trains the best. All of that. Now that he's away from home and all of that. But now's the time for Tom Kim to get things going. 80 to 1 is a fantastic number, and I think he can get this event done. I think this suits him very well with the increased club head speed that he has on his driver the last two seasons. We saw that last year, the Travelers and all of that. So I think he can get it done. And again, could just be me talking out of my ass as the Tom Kim guy, but here we are. I dug up a real argument on why I'm betting Tom Kim this week.
Nate, I love it. You're calling your shot a little early, right? Like, and look, if he takes it down this week, that's, great shout out there because you're right. He has slow start. I haven't really noticed that. And honestly, you almost sold me on him. So you did a good job there.
There we
Um,
go.
but yeah, I'd love to see Tom Kim win. I love the argument there. And you're getting a boatload of talent for a 22-year-old who has won three times in his last, what, 2.5 years at this point. So I think it's great value.
And I will mention that Aaron Wise is in this field at 600 to 1. So do with that information as you will. I don't think people
Oh man.
remember how good Aaron Wise was in like 2019 and 2020 in those years. Like, if you look at any placement chart, he's going to pop because he's had top fives at almost every golf course. Like, he was insane before he had his, he took a step away from golf to help with his mental side of things. And he's trying to make his way back to the Corn Ferry Tour, get invites that way. But Aaron Wise was one of the like premier young studs of the PGA Tour when he hopped in. And I think he still has that game. Once he gets the rust knocked off, I think he can come. So I don't know if he's not going to win this week, but 600 to 1, why not put $1 there?
It would be pretty cool. That would be an awesome story. All here for the storylines.
All right, Jake, anything to add about the Canadian Open before we move on to the KLM Open?
Nope, think we covered it.
All right, so we move to the DP World Tour side of things. The final event before their break for the U.S. Open. I think they're off for 2 weeks after this one. The KLM Open, which is also the Dutch Open, essentially. This event dates back to 1912, first known as the Dutch Open, joined the European Tour in 1972 in its inception. It's been a staple ever since. As many as 13 different golf courses that host this event, a bit nomadic as well. Hilversmush, yep. Golf Club holds the title, is hosting the event a record 30 times. For the second straight season and the third time overall, the International in Amsterdam will play host, hosted last year and in 2019. KLM Dutch Airlines, the sponsor of this week's event, has been one of the tour's most loyal sponsors, serving as the title sponsor for a 29th time this week. Guido Migluzzi claimed his fourth DP World Tour title a season ago, edging out Joe Dean and Marcus Kinholt in a playoff. He will return this season in an effort to claim back-to-back KLM Open titles, as both Dean and Kinholt will look to better their placement from a season ago. Jost Luton, a two-time winner of this event in 2013-2016, leads the Dutch contingent, who hopes to keep the KLM trophy in-house. He'll be joined by the likes of Darius Van Drill, Will Besseling, and Dan Housing, among others who hope to become just the eighth Dutch golfer to claim victory at this event. Other notable golfers teed up include Laurie Cantor, John Perry, Eugenia Shikara, Ho Tung Lee, Daniel Hillier, Christoph Reiten, and Kaita Nakajima. Other former winners of the event teamed up this week include Pablo Larisball in 2023 and Ross Fisher in 2007, again, not at this golf course. Speaking of the International in Amsterdam, plays a par 70 at 6,915 yards and promises to test every aspect of a golfer's game. Designed by Ian Wolfsman and opened in 2012, the course sits near the Schiphol Airport. Some may argue too close, fitting though as KLM continues on as a tournament sponsor. In 2014, the International hosted a tournament on the European Senior Tour and also hosted the KLM Dutch Open in 2019, as mentioned already. The International features a plenty of water hazards and bunkers to test golfers off the tee. Water comes into play on 10 holes, and much of the sand comes greenside. It too features several dog legs and a number of blind shots. Many of the holes are also bordered by a plethora of mounds, which adds a sense of seclusion on each hole from the rest of the course. The greens this week are both large, fast, and well contoured. The greens, due to their size, offer a large selection of potential pin placements throughout the week. The 11th hole was a very easy par 4 during the 2019 playing of the KLM Dutch Open, but has been converted to a par 3 last year and again this year. In all, most of the golfers' games will be tested this week. On top of the challenging this course has to offer, golfers too must deal with the noise of planes landing and taking off at the nearby airport. Jake, anything to add here before we move forward?
No, I actually one fun fact is they have a place in Columbus where I went to college called the Airport Course where it feels very similar, and it is so distracting with the planes. Like, oh, they're professionals. Don't bite into that. When a plane is taking off in your
Oh,
backswing,
yeah.
it'll scare the crap out of you and affect you.
And I don't care who you are. If a plane's taking off, like I drive by a little small town airport and I see a plane take off, I'm like, oh, look at that, look at that. Planes intrigue people, and like if they're taking off, you're gonna kind of snap out of the moment for a little bit, and like, oh, okay, that back into things. But yeah,
Exactly.
definitely an interesting aspect of this golf course.
Yep, for sure.
All right, Jake, I think we each have four people. I know we're on one of them the same. I kicked off the PGA Tour, so you kick this one off.
Yeah, I'm going back to the well here. I'm going with Hao Tong Lee. I got him at 30 to 1.
Good number.
Yeah, he's just playing some bonkers golf. Like I at T27 last week, I wanted to be mad at him. Like that should not be the case. He's playing consistently well. He's won at the Qatar Masters, but he has three top five finishes in his last five starts. Bonkers on the approach, has driving distance, and has been rather accurate as of recent. It's all there for him. His game is really clicking at the moment, and I'm not ready to give up on him. I think, I got him at 30 with a boost, but ready to take him at 20 if the book didn't give me a boost either way. So I love Hao Tong this week.
Yeah, he was my first winner of the season on the DP World Tour, 35 to 1, the Commercial Bank Guitar Masters. What really gets, you mentioned the stats definitely line up for Ho Tung, but his problem is his final rounds are they're so hit or miss. Like even that Commercial Bank Guitar Masters, he like gave it away at one point and drew it back
Yeah.
in the final few holes. Like it's always stressful when Ho Tung's playing
Yeah.
some golf. But yeah, dude, love to play. And if I didn't go with my guy, he was going to be leading my card. And I guess I'll transition now, and I'm going back to well myself, and that's Rasmus Njergaard Peterson at 18 to 1. I mean, I played him 14 to 1 last week as the odds-on favorite to win. Again this week. I got to go back. He's too good of a golfer to, last week he missed the cut, and he's too good of a golfer to repeat that, in my opinion. I think he's, in terms of DP World Tour strict people, I think he is the cream of the crop. Maybe you could do Gina Shakar, who we'll talk about here in a bit. Maybe right there with him, but I think this is the premier talent the DP World Tour has to offer right now. He's placed fourth at the Hainan, 10th at the Volvo, second the Commercial Bay Guitar Masters or the season, 10th of the Dubai, eighth in Australia. Currently fourth in green regulations. He's fifth in birdie or better, ninth tee to green, 13th off the tee, 17th on approach, 18th driving accuracy, 30th in putting, 40th in scrambling. All those stats are bonkers. Top 30 in, all of the crucial, statistical aspects you think of when it comes to successful golf on the DP World Tour. I mean, across golf in general. Again, he did it. He did play this event a season ago at this course, missed the cut, but again, a year older. He's definitely. I mean, he's just so good. He's so good. Hasn't won this season. I think he can get it done. I mean, I'm pretty sure he went on to the deep or the PGA Tour and placed second at, or not the
Yeah,
core
Puerto
list,
Rico.
Puerto Rico, second there. Like just hopped over there, a casual second, and then came back to the DP World Tour. Again, cream of the crop in my opinion. 18-1. I played him 14-1 last week. Why not go back to well at a better number this week because he missed the cut last week?
Yeah, I don't blame you. I had Hao Tong and Yergard Peterson circled, and so whoever I get better odds on is who I'm taking. So I was right there with you, very similar thinking. This feels like a cream of the crop is going to rise at this tournament. I think that based on our first two picks, that's kind of the hope here. But yeah, stellar talent, young guy, 25 years old. The win is coming for him. Very well could be this week.
And I already kind of already let the cat out of the bag for our next pick here, Jake. So you let you kick this one off.
Yeah, Chikara. I think we both agreed that we opened the book and thought that this number was just ridiculous. Like, can't pass that number up. I bet this guy to win the PGA Championship. I'm gonna bet him at 40 to 1 to win the KL Open. That's for damn sure. He won the Hero India Open. I was on him luckily. The run of form kind of stretched for, whatever you want to call that. He was invited to the PGA Championship. He missed the cut. T31 at Sudal, T27 at the Austrian Alpine Open. Not bad finishes. Like I'm not scared of those finishes. He is a premier talent, 25 years old also, has insane driving distance. The putter has been scorching hot. It'll come down to the iron play for him and the driving accuracy, but I think that 40 is too big of a number to pass up on.
Same thing here. I saw 40 and I was like, there's not a chance I'm letting this number slide. Like when it comes to average finishing placement in the DP World Tour this season, with at least six events, only Sean Norris has a better placement finish than him. And, Sean Norris's four of his six events were the first half of the season.
Yeah,
You don't see Sean Norris much. I mean, he won the Alfred and sixth in Dubai, blah blah blah. But Shakara coming in here when things are getting tough in the DP World Tour with all the guys here competing for PGA Tour cards as he is. Goes on to win in his first DP World Tour start of the season. No, excuse me,
second.
second start at the Indian. Fourth in China, 11th at Hainan, then bounces over to the PGA Tour, comes back, still top 30 finishes there. Like it's great to see that. Again, kind of the um, was he like he dropped out of college to join the Live and then kicked off Live or something like that, and then
Yeah,
trying to make his way back through the DP. And like this is just a premier talent. And the same thing like David Puig, who left college to go to the Live, and he's kind of done well with it, but it's not an easy transition to go from no professional golf to live golf, and it's not being your standard run of things and then coming back into it. Like it's super tough to do. But again, Eugenia Shakara is kind of a cream of the crop when it comes to the DP World Tour. It is, again, when it comes to premier exclusive DP World Tour guys, I think he's 1A, 1B with Rasmus Njergaard Peterson, in my opinion.
yeah, I agree.
All right, so that's my next play there, and I have him at 40. Did you have at 40 as well?
Yep.
Okay. All right, Jake, then who's your third?
Yep, I've got Brandon Stone at 45 to 1. He the the run of form recently has been just way too good to pass up. In my opinion, I was surprised to still see a 45 on him. Uh he's gone T16, T30, T20, T6, T36, T23, miscut T11. So he has top 25 finishes in six of his last nine or something like that, or something along the lines of that. Very well just playing really well-rounded golf. Plus distance off the tee, solid on approach, solid with the putter, just solid all around. I thought 45 was just a fair number. Brandon Stone, three-time winner on the DP World Tour. It's been a while. I think his last one came in like 2018, but I think he's ready to return to the winner's circle this week.
Yeah, so he was, I mean, I came down to Brandon Stone in my pick here and basically a coin flip, and I went with Jason Schapper, the same number,
Yep.
45 to 1. And, Schapper's a guy I've been on a ton this season, especially early on, and he had some insane form, kind of fell out of form with a series of missed cuts, including a few back-to-backs, but then he's bounced back with a fifth place finish in Austria. Missed the cut the Sudal Open, 24th in Hainan, Early this season, though, he was fifth in Qatar, fourth in Kenya, 16th in South Africa Open, and ninth at Joburg. Sixth on tour, tee to green, seventh grade regulations, 11th on approach, 23rd in scrambling, 29th in driving accuracy, 30th off the tee. And it comes down to putting, 122nd stroke game putting. But, there is some promise there. He did gain 0.79 strokes per round last week, which is a promising sign. Again, young. I think he's 24 years old, South African. Trying to find his footing, but he's a really good talent too. Like, I think he's going to win the DP World Tour sooner rather than later. I think it's a matter of time before that happens. The stats are there. He's had some insane form. Then he faced a bit of adversity, missed a bunch of cuts, and then came back with a fifth place finish last week. So I love to see that. And that's where I'm going with my next play.
Yeah, Nate, we complement each other really well. I opened the book and Stone was 45 and Shaper was 40. So I, again, just took the better number of the two. But a guy I heavily considered this week, you know, Stone is a little bit more distance heavy.
Mhm.
Jaden Shaper is definitely more accurate off the tee. So I like both of them this week a lot. And hopefully we have something covered because clearly our models are very in tune.
Yeah, it's cool that our models are in tune, but we're still,
Different.
we still thought of the same people, but picked the opposite. Like, it's insane how that worked out. I mean, we did cross over with Gina, but we'll see if that's the one we get done this week. It'll probably be some rando again, but either
It's the
way,
beauty. It's the beauty of golf betting.
what's the final play here, Jake?
Yeah, I'm going with Brandon Robinson Thompson. I'm sticking with him. I mean, missed a cut last week where he got absolutely nuked on the greens. He lost like 2.5 strokes per round, but again, has been in just such good form, and I've been on him the last couple of weeks here, and I'm not ready to give up on him. A very solid putter, all things considered. He got crushed on that last week, but the approach play was still solid. The off the tee, again, slightly plus distance, slightly more accurate than tour average. So taking my chance here, I think this guy has a lot of swagger, a lot of top 10, top 20 finishes this year. Again, I think the win is coming for him on the DP World Tour. I'm not ready to give it up, and I got him at 75 to 1. So I think that, or 70 to 1, sorry. I think that that is enough meat on the bone for me to stick with.
I've been playing BRT the entire season at, 40s, 50s, and uh, recently I told myself I'm just going to let him beat me because I've wasted too much money on this season and I've backed off him and Jacob Scovilos, and I'm sure I'll return there at some point, but it's not this week. But again, I can't argue with that because I bet the guy 100 times this season. He has what it takes. He's going to win eventually. He's been super close a few times, including last season. So yeah, can't can't fault you there.
Yep.
All right, my final play is a number that I saw again and I could not turn down. That's John Perry at 70 to 1. I mean, this guy won on the season. I know the Afro-Asia Marathon Open early this season, also the runner-up of the Alfred Dunhill Championship and Magical Kenya Open. Like, he's a winner and has two run-ups this season, and we're talking 70 to 1. It's not like he's an out of uh, form either. Fourth in his last out in the Sudal Open, 33rd at Hainan, 29th at India, 36th in the Poor Singapore Classic. He's fifth on tour on approach, seventh tee to green, 17th in a scrambling, 23rd green in regulation, 50th in birdie or better, 69th in putting, 74th off the tee. Again, a big number for a guy who's won the season, has two runners up, and recently a top four, top five finish as well. Like, I just couldn't get over the fact that he was still 70 to 1.
Yeah, I think that there's again another guy, plenty of meat on the bone, and like you said, has the wind under his belt on the season and has some great finishes to go along with that win. So wouldn't surprise me at all for Perry to have a good week or even win.
Yeah, it wasn't just a flash in the pan with one victory and then six missed cuts. Like, he's
Yeah.
been hanging around for a long time this season.
Oh yeah.
All right, that rounds out our cards for the KLM Open. All of that here this week, and of course next week the big one, the U.S. Open. Going to be a good one over at Oakmont. Super disappointed. I shouldn't say I'm disappointed. I was planning to be there, but I'm in a wedding next week. I'll be golfing two or three rounds across Thursday, Friday, then the wedding's on Saturday. So I'll be getting my golf in a wedding on Saturday. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm not gonna harp on the groom too much about making me miss the US Open. I mean, so be it, right? Anyways, yeah, it's gonna be a great event. Definitely looking forward to that one. And I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about next week when we dive into Oakmont and those betting cards along the way. But with that being said, Jake, where can we find you on social media?
Yep, you can find me at the Jake Friedman on Twitter. Both my outright cards are posted there. But if you're looking for some additional content, first round leaders, matchup plays, anything else you're interested in, be sure to join our Discord. Nate and I post some exclusive plays in there. There's a lot of other participants in there who post their plays in our community tracker. That could be you as well. Post your plays, let everyone know who you've got so we can cheer you on and give you congratulations when we all hit some winners, because we all are going to hit winners. I'm talking into existence. But anyway, completely free to join additional channels in there for other sports. No hidden paywalls. I think I've covered my bases there, but reach out to Nate or myself so we can get you the link to join there.
Yeah, it's hard to hit winners when you have Scotty Scheffler winning three, four events this season at 3-1, Rory McIlroy winning at, 6, 7, 8-1. It's tough, but it's part of it. We've all had success in that Discord, not just myself and Jake this season with multiple winners. A lot of successful across the board for a lot of guys in there. Ben Griffin, we had a guy on him recently. Like there's a lot of great guys out in and gals, excluding us in there as well. So be sure to join that and check out everything we have to offer there. Be sure to follow myself, Nate, on Twitter at WKF Nate. Be sure to follow We Know Fantasy on all forms of social media. Be sure to visit We Know Fantasy.com for some more fantasy sports content. Until next time, guys, we'll see you.